Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us for today's panel discussion on careers in the digital age. I think today's panel discussion is directed towards what the future of this industry is. And this year probably was the year where we crossed the number of internet users in India, which is more than that of the number of television viewers. This basically gives us a representation that the Indian advertising industry, which has seen the importance of digital media, has gradually increased in the last few decades. And of course, the COVID-19 pandemic has forced both the consumers and the brands to adopt to e-commerce and the overall digital ecosystem. And I think with this panel discussion, we would like to apprise everybody about the career opportunities and what this industry has to offer. And before we dive into the session, I'd like to basically invite our program mentor of the Digital Media and Marketing Communications program that we're starting here at Geo Institute, Dr. Frank Mullen, who is the Associate Dean of Research at the Medill School of Journalism, Northwestern University, to give his opening remarks.
Hello, and thank you. We are living through times of extraordinary change. All of us who work in this business realize that many of the fundamental concepts and ways that we have done our jobs are adapting to the digital era. Digital means a lot of things. Basically it means computerization, but that brings with it so many dramatic impacts. Among them are connectivity of more or less eventually everything, data streams that will come from digital devices, and the ability to communicate in ways way beyond what we have had in traditional media. So tonight we are blessed with having many experts in the field to talk about careers, because what is happening is careers are changing. There are new kinds of jobs coming along. The old kinds of jobs are changing. The skill sets required are changing. And it's important for young people and people considering what their careers are going to be to have an understanding for the changes that are taking place. We don't have to predict everything with perfect accuracy, but we do have to understand the nature of change and the direction in which things are moving. And our experts will give us insight to that can be very helpful for young professionals.
Thank you for that, Dr. Mullen. And then before we deep dive into the discussion today, I'd just like to give a quick introduction to our panelists who have joined us today. We have with us Ms. Neha Basu Roy, who is the VC and Startup Partnerships at Google India. We have with us Mr. Vikram Chande, the General Manager and Sales Lead India of Samsung Ads. We have Akshay Gurnani, Co-founder, CEO, Shebang. Umair Saeed, CDO of Ad Factors Digital. Shekhar Banerjee, Chief Client Officer and Best Head, Wavemaker India Group M. Preet Tyagi, National Head, Business Development and Vice President at Kynect. Unfortunately, Ahmad has fallen sick, and Yamini has very kindly accepted to come and join us today at this session. And we also have with us Ms. Shefali Khalsa, who's the Head Brand Corporate Communications and CSR at SBI General Insurance. Thank you, everyone, for joining us today. And I think I'd like to start the session with a very important question, which is, people have this, and it's a very common question that everybody keeps asking. And it's like, what are the different types of digital marketing functions that one can specialize in? And maybe we can start with Preet, and then we can take it from there.
Sure thing, Ritu. Can you hear me clearly?
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, thank you for inviting us firstly. And a lot of people over here on the screen that I know I've worked with a bunch of you guys also before, so happy to see all of your faces again. I'm going to jump right into it because we have a tight time slot over here. So it's a very, very wide question, this one. And this is a question which gets asked to us each and every time we step into any interview, especially with freshers, the people we're talking to right now, right? I think Dr. Mullen kind of already touched upon this, that digital marketing is a very wide field of study. It's not one function. It's any function that basically is related to computerization, right? Again, on the screen itself, you'll see multiple different leaders over here who are all specialists in different fields. For a person to specialize, it has to come innate from within, basically. What are they really good at? Are they a creative person, right? That's a completely separate track of study over there. Are they a person who are really good with technical knowledge? Then we got the entire customer experience side of things, where you got websites, you got SEO. Are they someone who are very good with numbers, with data? Then you get into the media side of things, right? We got multiple different variants. I'm not going to list all of them out because that becomes like an endless speech after that. But yeah, like even when it comes to video production, right? For example, there is a very different way of doing video production for digital marketing as compared to the traditional media how videos used to be produced. So people are specializing in that today. People are specializing in managing all of these services. That's why I kind of come in as well. I'm not at the risk of saying it. I may not be a master of any one trade, but I'm a jack of all. I don't know whether that's a great thing or not, but at, at the end of it, I sit in the middle of 20 different fields and I figure out what matches what and how do you basically ensure that the client and the customer, more importantly, gets the best experience. So all of these different measures really come in from where you really find your field of interest, and then you just specialize from there on.
Yeah, thank you for that, Preet. I think that definitely puts things to perspective. And Akshay, I'd like to ask you, if you'd like to add anything to this from a perspective, you're the founder of Shebang, and you have of course met a lot of people who probably must be asking you this question a lot of times as to and I think it becomes even more relevant, when we're talking to these young people who are trying to figure out as to what they can probably do and what they can specialize in. So what's your take on it?
Yeah, no, I think just going back to when I began my career about 12 years ago, I had only three different, opportunities. I could either be a content writer, I could be a designer, or a servicing person. There was actually nothing more beyond that. Today, in Shebang, for example, we have almost 52 different profiles available for people to actually specialize in. And of course, as Preet rightly mentioned, you could be a generalist or you can be a specialist. Just like Preet, I'm also a generalist. I tend to work across departments, piecing things together. While of course we have different departments which require people to come with specialized skill sets and specialized knowledge in technical aspects. I think what's great is that way digital allows us to really open up a horizon towards thinking, do I want to go in the creative side, design, content writing, potentially I can get into the technical side, exactly what he said. Influencer marketing has become one big boom. So like right from managing talent to planning talent to coordination on talent becomes one important part. I think media has become a big buzzword with the kind of monies being spent on digital. We know that digital is going to overtake TV and radio and all the other platforms very soon. So arguably it's already taken over actually. So media plays an important part. So right from the planners to the buyers to the coordinators to even understanding reporting becomes very important, because all of these platforms give us rich data. And we also have Sneha here from Google, and I mean data is really key to everything we do on digital. So people are interested in data science. And another big buzzword that we're seeing today is the entire metaverse. So metaverse also brings with it 3D, 2D animation. It brings with it again data there as well. So I think Preet has covered a lot of the touch points, but there's a lot that we can do today in digital, and yeah, I think a lot of opportunities. So if you actually go onto any of our agency websites, you'll find all of the openings over there and all the different kind of services we have to offer, so you can automatically understand what is up for grabs.
Yeah, and I think that's the beauty of this industry. You can choose what you like and do it.
Yeah,
That
and
actually brings.
just to also add one more thing about the entire direct-to-consumer boom, right? With the entire obsession with customers, with the obsession of UI UX, giving your customers the right kind of experience. A lot of opportunities there also being presented in terms of website building, plus also the entire UI UX side of the entire deal. Yeah.
Great. Anybody would else like to add anything to what Preet and Akshay have to say?
Yeah, Ritu, hi, Shefali here. I would like to add here, while I agree with Preet and Akshay, largely things are covered. There are multiple roles in the digital marketing, as you say, but yes, the first differentiation is also that either it could be a client side, which is the brand side, or the agency side. While both my panelists are from the agency side, as I can see, but frankly speaking, today, even the brands have evolved a lot, and which is where the agency is required, of course, on the other side. But today the brands have evolved. Even the BFSI segment has evolved a lot, and digital has become a part and parcel. Digital marketing has become a part and parcel of every BFSI brand. In fact, I come from an insurance background, so I can say that even insurance is now getting digital. We are also providing the DIY, do-it-yourself kind of model to customers today. So yes, there are multiple roles on both sides of the world, which is client side and the advertising role. As Akshay also clearly mentioned that yes, from video making to the SEO expert, who has a flair in content writing, has a passion for content, is good at communication. So such roles are immense today. There are a lot of blog writing. In fact, there are bloggers. They can also pick up that career in terms of the blog writing for the brands or the agencies, and there are those ghost writers also. But yes, from the SEO perspective to the performance marketing to the analyst, to the digital creative making, to the digital film making, etc. And yes, lastly, what he mentioned was the website maintenance. The website overall also has immense roles in it, right from the website click analysis, maintaining the purchase journey. So there is immense role in the digital marketing, and thanks that digital marketing has picked up so well that marketing today is taken up a different league altogether.
Yeah, thanks for that, Shefali. I think that gives a perspective from, of course, both sides, which is the agency and the brand side. And I think Akshay touched upon this about how important, in digital marketing is to analyze data. And I think data is something that is probably going to help us. Probably that's how we're going to move ahead in this industry. So that brings me to my next question: is how important is the knowledge of analytics in the digital media and marketing field? And I think, Vikram, would you like to take that up?
Definitely. I think both Akshay and everyone spoke about how the careers, and I think one of the most flaring careers globally is of an analyst, because in analytics, especially in digital marketing, makes a fundamental strategic difference to what and where you are going to invest your next dollar. And digital, so if you look at the entire genesis of digital flared on the back of three key things: measurement and attribution. Digital was always targeting rich environment, and last but not the least, you could get the maximum media automation buying done via digital. And all this today culminates into the fact that how are you today investing your dollars into any sort of a media comes on the back of how your strong analytics implementation is, because it completely maps your user journey from each and every media who is landing onto any of your app experiences across the website, across the app, or any other digital touch point. It gives advertiser or a brand the much needed visibility and a strategic difference where they need to strategically invest into their media budgets, that may be digital as well as offline budget. And it becomes a key or fundamental to making any sort of an informed data decision based on both what is your next strategy going to be and how it is going to justify that, how are you spending, where are you spending, and what is the ultimate outcome that you're measuring. So purely in terms of analytics, it is never going to be an outdated career. It's a more scientific way where you can flare up your opportunity. You can grow both vertical as well as horizontal, because you can specialize in analytics. So this definitely is a field, because every new channel that gets integrated in the digital ecosystem comes with its own set of visibility. So I currently work in the connected TV ecosystem, where we are taking a linear TV today into the digital world. The entire thing is getting automated. And analytics is again going to play a key role, because it gives you that visibility as to what, where, and how it is working. So definitely analytics remains a key. And I think if somebody is looking at aspiring, there are very good visible courses available where somebody can opt into doing analytics, which the likes of Adobe and Google also offer certifications for. And that can be a good start point for any particular professional in digital analytics, especially in digital media.
Sure, I think thanks for that, Vikram. Would anybody like to add their opinions to what Vikram said about how the importance of course, like analytics is not going anywhere, and that's probably going to be like a prerequisite to any other job function? Like, I think the first question that we spoke about was that, what are the different, jobs that we're going to have, and probably analytics might be like common in all of that we do. So would anybody like to probably talk a little bit more about it? Sure. I think then we can move to the next question. And, I actually read somewhere that, Netflix Chief Product Officer Neil Hunt said that the combined effect of personalization and recommendations has saved them more than 1 billion per year. And that brings me to, think that, probably how can we be how can we increase the personalization of the people, and probably one way is to connect with them in their vernacular language or in their language. And probably that brings me to my next question, which says that how can I get different career opportunities for someone who is not very good in English but is good in their own vernacular language, which is either Hindi, or since we're in Maharashtra, we're talking about Marathi, or any other vernacular language for life. I mean, are there any careers that are fruitful for the people who are not very well versed with the English language? And we can probably start with Umair with this.
Yeah, hi. So, purely from a digital, point of view, I think there's a lot you can do with vernacular language, particularly in the content side of things. So taking, my own example, we're constantly on the lookout for content writers, who can write vernacular, Hindi, Marathi, so on and so forth. We need writers who can write vernacular ads. We need writers who can, do vernacular voiceover. And, we've seen the past few years that regional media, particularly certain select languages, like in the Marathi, Kannada, there's a very growing market for this. So I think on the content side, my suggestion would be to focus on purely on content.
Thank you. And I think, Umair, that does help us understand that of course people can have these opportunities even though they're not well versed with English. Neha, would you like to add something to this? Sneha, yeah, we can hear you.
Yeah, I think Ritu, I'll tell you what, right? Going back to your first, yeah, can you hear me? Perfect.
Sneha, I think there's some disturbance at your end. We are not able to hear you very clearly.
Question. Digital marketing used to be just, like Akshay mentioned. Ritu, let me just stop my video for a bit. Can you hear me now?
Yes, better.
Great. So I think Akshay mentioned this, right, in terms of there used to be specialists in the past, and there used to be digital marketing in silos in the past, but I think that was around 5 years back. I think today the truth is that everyone really works on efficiency and it's overall marketing, because digital marketing will be taking over even offline marketing this year. The truth is that when we're talking about digital marketing taking over in a country like India, vernacular becomes incredibly important, right? And to Umair's point, at the end of the day, every publisher provides tech solutions for vernac. I think that's something that we saw coming a few years back, and every publisher has the solutions. What is really becoming very critical today is really working on the content, because we do have the audience for that content, and there is absolutely no brand that can ignore that. But really, people who can capitalize on their skill sets, or their language skills in the various different languages that we have in India on media consumption, I think it becomes very important. And no longer do you really need to be absolutely fluent in English, or just basically use that, or let that be a hunch for you not really getting a job, because content is key today. We say content is king, actually, and essentially I think it should never be a hunch, and it will not stop you, because it's almost an added benefit. It's a skill set. It's a very lucrative skill set to have today, to really know other languages in India as opposed to only English.
Thank you, Sneha. Preet, would you like to add something to it?
Yeah, sure. I agree with everything that was said, and I'm not going to repeat that because I think that's pretty clear. I'll just say that its content is the top layer, what people are seeing. But honestly, there's something I keep saying that all of us over here need to kind of get out of what I call the Bombay bubble of advertising. We love showing Marine Drive and Gateway of India and Chhatrapati Shivaji Terminus because it looks amazing. But we think most of us live between Andheri and Lower Parel, and we think like that. When you talk about Vernac, it's not just about the language and the content and the post that is going forward. It's also about thinking in those terms, right? It's about actually getting into the shoes of who is a person from this city. I come from Calcutta. I have to correct everyone in my team 20 times when they think about Bengali, and they will just show one Durga Puja post and be like, oh, wow, this is Bengali. I'm like, no, that's not how it works. There's a lot of nuances that get into it. So it's very important to not just be vernacularly, not just about speaking vernac, but also understanding the regions, right? That's extremely important. I mean, we run ads. There's a point we were doing a lot of performance marketing. We were selling plaques for a lot of real estate players. There are real case studies that we have along with Google, along with Adobe, different partners, where just a vernacular ad in a Gujarati in Kandivali in Bombay ended up giving us 52% better results than the English ad. So it's undoubtedly very important to get into the shoes of my mom, right? Most of our uncles and aunts, because they're the ones who are at that stage in their life where they are dropping that kind of money as well. And they understand their regions a lot better than what we do. So that's the only level I'll like to scratch deeper into.
Thank you. Shekhar, you want to add something?
Yeah, I mean, so I was listening to the conversations about the content part of it, and I thought without making it too technical for the team and the audiences who are listening here, there's another thing which is a major transition which is we are going through in digital economy as such, from Web 2.0 to Web 3.0. And currently what it basically means that a lot of things which is today centralized will become decentralized, and creator economy as such will become much bigger than where the addicts otherwise we see in digital space, which means there will be a lot more creators and and they will be in their own native languages. So the decentralization of content from the biggies like Google and Facebook or the OTT platforms to everybody being a creator, it may change a lot of things. So honestly, the language will not be a barrier going forward.
Yeah, and I think we're Indians, and we have so many languages in one country. So I think the career prospect in this particular field is also immense. And I think we started with the first question as we can either choose to be a generalist or a specialist, and I think this probably will be an add-on skill and more of a like a pro than a con. That brings me to my next question, and the question reads that, what are my chances of getting an international role in the next few years if I enter this field? And Yamini, can you start with that? Yeah.
Sure. So yeah, I guess I'm very happy to answer this question because as an agency, we particularly work across markets, which primarily is India and the Middle East. And, we've got so much talent across both the markets where we kind of have this ability to, plug and play depending on the kind of projects that we land. So as you're aware nowadays, a lot of sporting action, a lot of the entertainment action has been happening in, basically happening abroad. So you've got a lot of cricket that's happening in the Middle East, UAE specifically, and you get to work on campaigns like the T20 World Cup or the IPL. You have, events like the IFA, which happen across these markets. And definitely, like if you have the skill set, if you basically are good at what you do, great at what you do, there's no reason why you can't, crack yourself an opportunity to go outside and continue to do what you do. And just to kind of go back to the previous question, I think the one thing that remains true even for this particular question is that the nuances, the subtle difference in the sensibilities or the difference of culture, all of these factors, you just have to kind of be aware. And if you are able to observe and absorb, then you certainly are going to be able to deliver. And I guess one last thing that I would like to say is that India is far more ahead when it comes to the space of digital marketing compared to most other markets, right? And that is an added advantage for people outside of India, I mean, within India, to crack opportunities outside of India. So that's what I would like to say.
Yeah, great. And Yamini, I mean, before I open the question to others, I have a follow-up question which says that, you spoke, of course, there is immense scope, but do you feel that people need a different kind of skill set if they want to go international? I mean, of course, like you mentioned that people in India have that advantage. So do you think that when we plan on going out, or we plan on moving overseas, is there like a typical or a change in a skill set that is required for people to pursue this job internationally?
So like we spoke about how diverse the digital media spectrum is, I mean, depends if you are into creative writing, or if you are like into production, right? If you're a filmmaker, probably it won't be as challenging, as long as you get like the subtle, like I was saying, nuances and the cultural difference and the sensibilities. If you crack that, you're good. But of course, when it comes to someone who's in a strat kind of a role, they might have to put in a lot of effort. They probably might have to understand the market, get the local data, and crack that first before they can basically resolve an issue for an existing client in that local market. So I think with a little bit of effort, and also what happens is, if you have like a counterpart over there who can take you through everything that you need to know before you step into a certain role, these are things that get taken care of. So
yeah, absolutely. And I think probably we just have to be mindful about the different cultures of different countries, is because, and we as Indians are anyway used to a variety of cultures across probably different states. So I think that, again, like you mentioned, adds advantage. Anybody else would like to? Akshay, you want to add something? Sure.
Just quickly butting in, I think, Canada suddenly has become like a hotspot for talent, for Indian talent. Like recently in the past couple of years, we've lost like a lot of our senior talent moving to Canada. I think for two reasons. A, we're hardworking, and I think B is also we think English first. I think that's exactly what the Canadians want. And also, I think the kind of depth with which we sort of, also train our employees, our team members, that kind of training is not happening in a country like Canada, unfortunately. So suddenly we become a very attractive market to hire from. So we are always competing with the MBA or with Canada right now. So it's for retention.
I think Preet really felt that, that probably he's lost some people to Canada as well.
Oh Lord, if I can tell you that in our attrition report, Canada is literally a one-word answer. Like it's not a 0.%, it's an actual percent of people that have left for Canada.
I mean, literally, we're thinking, should we expand into Canada now? Because we have so many extra bangers. It'll be so easy. You have a servicing guy, you have a group solution manager, you have a vice president there. Just like start a Canada division there soon.
I think sounds like a plan, Akshay. I think you should totally do it. Anybody else?
Sorry, I think that's just the beginning. I think post Canada, there'll be Southeast Asia, because most of our companies today to keep their online, essentially, their monthly active users, daily active users going. They really, really need to work into the export market. And there's no one like India that does export, right? So our talent already understands the export market, whether it is Brazil or Southeast Asia, like where most of our startups at least are expanding to. And why not, right? They're obviously going to gun for all the Indian talent in the coming years. So you have a few more challenges other than Canada, I would say.
Oopsie, but yeah. Shikhar.
Just a different way to look at the same thing. I mean, obviously the immigration policies are making it much more easy for people to go to Canada, but a different way to look at it is, as Waymaker, for example, we are roughly operating right now across 90 countries. And we have certain global clients like L'Oreal, Mondelez, Netflix, Vodafone, we have worked in past. So our talent at any point of time is exposed to multi-market setups and how the operations are working. And something which we very strongly believe is that in future, human beings will be known in binaries only. So it is like ones and zeros combination. And it will be pretty much language agnostic and country boundaries agnostic. So you can fairly be able to operate across multi-markets. So yeah, if we say that international exposure is guaranteed, either it will be sitting out of that country, or it can be sitting out of a country like India and operating in multi-markets. So that's there. Having said so, a very divergent point of view for the talent here is most of the top talents in Europe and US wants to have an India expo, wants to work in India and China at the same time, because the next set of CEOs or multinationals is going to come from people who have worked in India market or in China market. So that's another thing to keep in mind before we think of actually taking an international placement.
Stick to India.
I would just like to add a little bit to what Shekhar just mentioned. So I've had an experience of being in the Middle East for over 10 years. But every time I visited the India office, and now ever since the pandemic, I'm here in India. And I just see in terms of learning, in terms of growth, whichever level that I might have been, in the past 10 years, when I travel, the amount of exposure and learnings that I get when I'm in India with the India, office folks around is just immense that you cannot compare it. So I think I second what Shekhar just said, and it's very true.
Thank you. Thank you for that, guys. So we're going global. We're sticking true to India, and that brings me to my next question. We spoke about how we have diverse opportunities and immense opportunities in this particular field. So the next question is that which are the industries with the highest opportunities in digital marketing? I mean, we know that of course digital marketing is probably going to help in every industry, but are there few industries that specifically have the highest opportunities or have the highest potential? And Shivali, should we start with you?
Sure. So from the brand side, I believe today, as I explained, even the digital has seeped into BFSI. Of course, talking about, when I started my career, I think then there was this fascination of Coke and Pepsi, and then it moved to telecom. So I was lucky enough to be a part of telecom to some extent. But today I would say the overall, the world of digital marketing lies around the e-commerce sites. And of course, there are many brands who are into now are doing a lot of digital work. BFSI, right from banking to insurance to mutual fund, you see a lot of such innovations. Martechs are involved in a lot of such processes. And I'm sure even very soon we'll see Indian brands in the metaverse.
Thank you, Shivali, and I think what you said was absolutely true. So you spoke from the brand perspective. I'd like the agency people to talk because they work with, of course, different industries, and what do they think that which industry do they think that digital marketing has the highest potential in? Anyone?
I think just purely going by spends, typically it is a CPG, FMCG brands who are the ones who are spending the most amount of money on the platform. So usually they're the ones also who are in-housing a lot of the talent as well, creating digital teams within the brand side, again hiring from the agency sides as well. Again, as Shivali mentioned, the insurance sector is also going to be booming. Again, penetration of insurance is fairly small in the country, but with that only increasing with time, awareness increasing with time, the dependency on digital is going to become a lot more. Maybe automobile brands now, we are seeing this entire move towards EV. And electric becoming a key buzzword as well. So, how do you promote that side of the business? So I would say, yeah, typically it's FMCG, CPG, insurance have always been the top spenders. Yeah.
Thank you, Akshay. Umair, would you like to add something?
Yeah, just taking on from where Akshay left, in my experience, I've seen BFSI, as one segment where they're really spending a lot of money. So any industry where there is a requirement to, for leads, to generate leads, inquiries, is typically, an industry where a lot of money is spent. So apart from FMCG, BFSI, automobile, definitely real estate. These are certain, areas where I can see, brands coming forward and investing, particularly in performance marketing. So using media, SEO to generate leads for the business.
Thank you, Umair. Shekhar, yes, you want to add something?
Yeah, according to me, it is a life skill. I don't think so anymore. We can talk about a sector which is where you will have an opportunity. It's a life skill. Come on, think about a category or a brand which you have not searched on Google and try to find out more about it. In which category or something that you have bought in last 1 year, you have not found a D2C platform for it. So it's there. It's everywhere around us. It's a new channel in our life. It's a new channel in our life, and every single category in this country is doing it. Let's put it in perspective. In India, I suppose we look from a addicts point of view. Indian addicts is roughly around 1,07,000 odd crores, of which 45% is digital. So it's bigger than TV. TV will be roughly around 39% on this year. So it's a different ball game. So and it cannot be done by a category. It's a combination of all categories. In fact, every small retail store today, they have a digital footprint. They are promoting their brands on digital and selling it. So, or for that matter, what Jio has done, hyper-local marketing as such, the way they are designing the omnichannel thing. So it's true for every single category. It's going to be a life skill for future.
Absolutely, and I agree. And talking from an education brand perspective, of course, for us also, we've been immensely focusing on our digital marketing activities as well. So I think what you said, Shekhar, is very true. It's a life skill. No industry should, not use digital marketing. Anybody else would like to add anything, or we can move to our next question? All right. So I think my next question, again, I spoke about education and we're launching our program in digital media and marketing communication. So I think my next question is that, how many more degrees, do we need when we progress in the career, or do we stop with education somewhere, or what's the correct, year gap that you should have these many years of work X before you dive into, taking a break and doing another degree or another and then another, and then where do you draw that line? Shekhar, would you like to start?
Yeah.
And I see that smirk before you're starting and you're answering.
Yeah, I honestly, to be very fair, learning should not ever stop. That's how it is. And especially in this field where the technology is changing with every year and so many governance rules and everything coming in, that will also shape the technology quite a lot of future. So it's going to be changing. So learning will never stop in this space. But if I have to just break it down simply for everyone on this call, is break it into 3 parts. One is mastering the subject. So make sure that what you learn, you are able to apply in the founding years of your career. So you are able to do hands-on job and not theory. So make sure you work on platforms, you do execution so that you master the subject and doesn't remain in theory. Second is upskilling. There talent should not be worried about, because every organization that you'll enter, doesn't matter client side agency or wherever you go or whichever sector you go, they're going to spend a lot of time and their resources to continue to upskill you. Means upskilling will be a major agenda for all the organizations. So they will make sure you they'll make sure that you upskill and are able to deliver much more better. Third is actually is specializations, where the certifications and other things will come into place. But it depends on the talent's interest, where you want to go. Means depending on whether you want to go on content side, you want to go to the analytics or attribution side. For example, if you want to go into analytics and attribution, you'll be looking at data sciences as a specialization. Or in fact, for that matter, all talent who's getting into this category, into this subject as such. One of the skills or certification that can really help you and propel your career will be coding. If you are able to learn coding in next 5 years, the combination of digital marketing and coding experience is a lethal combination to have, because lot of solutions of future will be based on how you write codes on platforms. For example, Sneha can touch upon like GBQ as a solution that Google has rolled out. You need to be a great coder. Means if you know a bit of coding, you'll be a rock star.
Thank you for that, Shekhar. And I think what you said, it is true. Learning should never stop. And if at any given point you feel that, a particular course will help you upskill yourself, so I think that's an important thing to consider. Anybody else would like to add anything to it, to the importance of education? Okay, that brings me to my next question. And this is a question that, we actually asked a few people around as to the kind of questions that they'd like this panel to answer. And this is one question that we received, which basically says that what is the hierarchy of being in an advertising firm, as to what's the growth that a person has in the advertising firm? And maybe Akshay, would you like to take that?
Sure. So, different verticals, different departments, of course, have their own separate hierarchies in terms of how large they are, in terms of how deep the hierarchy goes as well, in terms of the number of roles that there are under those. But typically at Shebang, for example, we break it up into three parts. One is the executive role, where you start off at the executive band, you move up to the managerial band, and then the leadership band. And if I had to very crudely put it in a very simplified manner, because of course we have 12 different divisions and different verticals, and each of them would have their own hierarchies. But typically at the executive level is where you're doing a lot of the execution. You're doing a lot of the, the running around, getting things done, working with the clients on a daily basis and executing other stuff. As you move up into the managerial level is where you start leading people, leading teams, handling a few more brands. A lot of the briefing actually comes from you. A lot of the client relationship actually starts from you in terms of understanding the briefs, deciphering the briefs for your executives to actually take back and execute on. And finally, if you move up to the leadership band is where you're running P&Ls. You're running the P&L, for the entire division or for the entire team as a small strategic business unit in a way. Of course, a lot more brands come there, a lot more responsibility. You become the client, be all and end all when it comes to escalations. And we see typically, at the executive level, about 3 years is a good amount of time. In the managerial level, it's about 3 to 4 years as well. And leadership level is about, about 4 to 5 years over there. So cumulatively, in a span of about 10 to 12, 15 years, you can move from an executive to becoming a vice president, typically in an agency like ours. Again, in digital, we're still at a very nascent stage. We're still babies compared to all the other, forms of marketing. So people tend to get promoted a little quicker at this point in time. But I think as we get a little bit more mature with our formations of hierarchy, these bands will become a little more structured in that sense.
Thank you for that, Akshay. And if anybody has a different perspective, I think, of course, Shebang is a new organization, and probably, like Akshay mentioned, that specifically in this particular field, the transition and growth is faster as compared to others. But any other company that you guys are working from that you feel has a different structure to it, and you'd like to share about what the structure there is, and is it also similarly like a 10 to 12 year, like a work X that is required from an executive to a leadership? Anybody else would like to? Or yeah, Shekhar, would you like to say that?
Let me add it. First of all, Ritu, you guys have done a fantastic job of finding the need gap, because there's a talent crunch in this space. So the growth for talent in this, when there's a talent crunch, the growth for talent is also faster, which makes them grow obviously. Therefore, and I don't see this crunch going anywhere away in next 3 to 4 years also. So it's absolutely going to be around. Lot more fresh blood is required in this industry. That is one point. So therefore, there's obviously rapid growth. That's the first thing. Second, just adding to what Akshay said, building on that, there's also, very simply put, one is about the hierarchy. Second is also about the specialization. So there are, in our agency ecosystem, you will see two streams at all point of time. You will have choices. One is towards actually embedding yourself in client solution, building client's business and building solutions for client, which is and that's more a generalist route. And then there will be another route within an agency, and the choice will be there, which is around product. You specialize in a certain kind of product and lead a practice. So that's another choice you will always have across your career, depending wherever you are. Means whether you are a 3-year-old or you are a 12-year-old, you will always have that choice of whether you want to become a practice expert or you want to become a management expert.
Thank you for that, Shekhar. Sneha, would you like to? Yeah, add anything?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think Shekhar really covered it. I'm completely on the same page. I think we need to stop thinking about really only hierarchy, but thinking about really, what we want to be. Do we want to be a consultant? Do we want to be a generalist, or do we really want to specialize? Because as digital marketing is getting more and more fragmented, only because there are more options out there, I think it's about really creating those specialists out there. I think Shekhar, I don't know if you remember that, the Super 50 program that we ran with Group M and with Wavemaker. I think that really set precedence, right? An agency that big to really understand around 5 years back that we really need to now start, other than just people rising up the ladder, really create specialists, whether it is in data analytics, whether it is measurement, whether it is in performance overall. And then you do progress to becoming a consultant, right? Moving into client servicing. But the important question to really address here is that, other than really growing the ladder, what are the specializations that I'm picking up for tomorrow?
Thank you. Thank you for that, Sneha. And this brings me to my next question, which I'd like all of you to answer. And that is a question that that I think everybody probably has in their minds, and which is, what next? What is coming next after, now we're in digital marketing, of course, now we understand what works, what doesn't work. We are getting well versed with performance marketing, with the help of a little bit technology. We're trying to move in towards personalization as well. But what is next? And we'll probably start. We can start with Yamini, and then we can move ahead, and I'd really like everybody to give their perspective as to what they think is the next thing.
I think, according to me, the simplest way to describe it would be it's limitless, and it's only going to get bigger. And I think a lot of you already have mentioned things like the metaverse and all of those things, right? So clearly, I mean, as much as people who started maybe 10 years ago said that this is just the beginning and, it's going to grow bigger, I feel, even today, it feels like after 10 years of working in the industry, it's pretty much the same. So for those who are starting out now, it's just like, they've got the advantage of everything that those who kind of started off with this, industry all those years ago, whatever has happened so far. And I think everyone, in a certain sense, irrespective of how much experience you have, feels the same, right? That there's so much more for us to explore, experience, learn, and deliver. So I think, yes, that's, like I said, it's pretty limitless, and there's so much more to come.
Thank you for that, Yamini. Vikram, would you like to go next?
So in digital, every day is a new beginning. So if you are looking at something, just see wherever the technology goes and it influences your entire ecosystem. It's going. So in digital, you're always in for a thrill. Because every day you have a new challenge, you have a new media, and you have a new customer problem or a new customer challenge to wake up to. But definitely that's the thrill of this thing, where you're constantly on a learning curve, you're upgrading yourself both in terms of skill set, in terms of solutioning. Just to give you an example, we are slowly gravitating towards something where cars are going to be connected. So imagine just what the technology is going to do today when you have a car which is today connected and you have an ecosystem which is today powering. So Sony just launched their car concept a couple of months back. They have a complete content consumption dashboard that is built into a car. So imagine if you are today interacting with that sort of a technological powerhouse within your car, what all possibilities it can open up. Metaverse definitely can be a combinational thing. So see, anything where technology touches, and especially where digital can influence it might on, that's a new thing. So for me, it's infinite. Every opportunity is infinite.
Thank you, Vikram. Shefali, would you like to go next?
Sure, Ritu. So I guess largely everybody said, Yamini started on a very right note, that it's limitless. And yes, from the marketing perspective, largely every day is a new day, as Vikram also mentioned. And with the digital, every hour is what we have to innovate and match up what competition is doing. So moment marketing is something that we live with. Every day there's something new thing happening in the online space, and we just want to hop onto that particular moment. And so is the digital world. And I'm sure there's a lot that will grow from the brand perspective also. And as I mentioned, even insurance industry today are really growing well and will be growing more in this. In fact, currently still there is a lean towards the offline business, but I'm sure over the years this will also have an equal pie. The digital marketing will have an equal pie.
Thank you for that, Shefali. Umair, would you like to talk more about what is the next big thing?
So there are many things happening. I mean, I actually concur what Yamini Vikram said, but purely from an agency side, purely from a services standpoint, I think there's so much more happening, within an already existing space. So, for example, taking say social media as an example, back in the day, social media was only platform management, but today we're adding so many more layers to it, right? Which is again become a service in itself. So, for instance, you would have something, called as a, as ORM, online reputation management. You have online response management. Today we do brand sentiment analysis for clients, and data science. We're doing crisis communication. There's so many verticals that we are adding, just within the social space, and that itself has become a fully functional, unit. So I think there's no end to it. I think this space is here to grow. Just recently, we are working on a new sort of a prototype where we're launching something called as digital reputation. So how is it that your brand is perceived, on the web? And so it's end to end, ensuring that it's perceived positively, leveraging different techniques to ensure that there's a positive word of mouth. So when that requires, a very specialized kind of skill set, and there's training involved and there's hiring involved. So I think it's fun. The future is digital, and there is a dependence on digital now in a very, very big way. I think we've moved towards the whole digital first, form of marketing.
Thank you, Umair. Sneha, would you like to go next?
Yeah, Ritu, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Perfect. Apologies for this. My network is fairly patchy because I'm traveling, but I think all the points have been covered. I think, the truth is that there are a lot of big things happening. However, I think two things that I think will be not the next big thing, but pieces that we need to prioritize, right? I think one is social e-commerce. We all understand, for digital marketing to crack social e-commerce, because we all understand that things like influencer marketing is becoming very big, right? Vernac is becoming very big. It's going to be very important as we go ahead for a consumer to really relate to the brand. And that's going to really, social e-commerce is the need of the hour as of now. And I think digital really needs to crack that segment, because the bread and butter of social e-commerce will come from there. I think the second piece is measurement, right? In the past, I think a lot of organizations like BARC have really tried to do measurement across digital and TV. The truth is today that there are so many new publishers in just digital that we need to crack measurement, because a business is only going to increase their spends or continue spending more on digital marketing if they see impact their business. They no longer go back and ask an agency, and Shekhar and Akshay can second that they don't just ask an agency saying, what are my brand KPIs? What are my performance KPIs? What they really want to, now their expectations have increased, and they really want to understand, hey, how is this impacting my business? Is my business really incrementally increasing because of the dollars I'm spending on digital marketing? So I think measurement is the second need of the hour, but I think another piece is, social e-commerce that I think digital marketing really needs to get cracking.
I think that's a very interesting take, Sneha. I think we spoke about, a lot of things about how technology focused or, things like that. But I think measurement is something which probably is something that we need to prioritize, because that's the way we're going to probably know what we're doing is working or not for us. I think we can move to Akshay. Akshay, would you like to go next?
I think most of the points have been covered. Just maybe adding one point is I think exactly what Sneha mentioned is that one is the tracking, but from a deployment standpoint also, all the platforms are actually moving towards motion content first, right? So, there's so many different opportunities in the motion content space as well. Right from people who can think vertical content today. It's no more about that square format, right? It's become a 9:16 as a predominant first asset creation is in the vertical format now. So when the younger content creators nowadays understand these formats a lot more than what our traditional production teams actually could work on. So even that's a big space. People who can edit quickly, who understand the trends, for example, who can work on these new age platforms like a Moz and Takatak and create content for those platforms. Because eventually when we're talking about this rise of Bharat, the Bharat is on these platforms. It's not always going to be in an Instagram or anywhere else. It's going to be on these Moz and ShareChat and Takata, which are actually giving you the opportunity to make content in vertical, quick editing on the phone, no requirement for these big fancy, Adobe softwares. It's all done on the phone today. So there's this requirement for really quick, nimble content. And I think that's where the new age content creators are actually coming from. So I just sort of add that in as one more point of view in terms of content creation. Yeah.
Thank you. I think that makes a lot of sense, Akshay. Preet, would you like to go next?
Yeah, I think some of my answers already taken by others, but yeah, I'm just marry these things. So I think what Sneha and Akshay both spoke about, right? When you're talking about social commerce and you're talking about content, that is for me the next big thing. It's again a little daunting when you actually get into YouTube today and look at the kind of content that people are bringing out over there, right? I think Vikram spoke about decentralization of content in the beginning of this entire panel. It's crazy because I have been actually working on a D2C brand of my own right now. And that's when I actually went into YouTube and started searching for different things because I wanted some answers. There are people who are going to smaller villages in UP, not villages, towns in UP, which specialize in certain types of products. They're going to those markets, and now we are talking about old bazaars over here. They go from shop to shop to shop. They check out the entire inventory, tell you exactly what kind of product is available, what the pricing of that product is, and how much of it is available, right? Those videos today have over 1.5 million views, right? And that's just one example that I'm giving you right now. This decentralization of content is really important for all of us as leaders in the industry to also understand, because I really feel that's where things are moving to next. The same people then go into social commerce also, right? They are racking up their entire followership. They are then moving into basically code generated influencer marketing, as we call it. It's more about social commerce, right? They're helping these D2C brands. That is the next big thing. And yeah, it's very important for us to get into that pulse, along with everything else that was mentioned over here.
Thank you, Preet. And Shekhar, I think to you now. What do you think?
I truly wish I knew what's next. Yeah. Because if I knew that, I would have replaced Elon Musk by now, for sure. But yeah, but I'm sure about that. Next big thing is going to come from the Geo House. And we are expecting that, watching it very carefully. But on a serious note, keeping those aside, that one that I touched upon is earlier was the Web 3.0 as a concept, and that rolling out. It's going to make a sea change in how today we operate and or how we behave also as consumers or as marketers in this space. So we are right at the cusp of it. So a lot of planning and preparation is required for us to be ready to deliver and be impactful in a Web 3.0 ecosystem. So I think that's something which we all need to prepare for.
Thank you everyone for that. And I think we're reaching towards the end of our session. But before we go, I think we have a couple of questions from our audience, and I'll try to keep it brief and club a few of them. I think a question that comes is that, this is a direct question that I'm taking right now, is that I'm an electronics engineer working in software testing for the last 4 years. Can I make a successful transition into digital marketing? Anyone would like to answer that?
It's definitely doable. If I may take that, it's definitely doable, because if you're doing a software testing, that means you're pretty much familiar with the latest coding languages, Python and all. And if you have control on that, it might be you can do it. Means you will not need it that extensively how you're doing it today. You might have to tone down your current skills, and learn a bit of the marketing side of it, but your current skill will help you to do much better in digital marketing.
Yeah. And I think that's where we at Geo Institute probably come in, who can help you, gain those necessary skills to transition your career. And I mean, any background you come from, and I think if you want to move to a direction, you need to find how to probably be at the same skill level. I think, Preet, you wanted to add something to it?
No, I mean, I just want to say that we need people like her. We need them right now. Digital marketing, as I started this entire panel with, it's a very wide field of study. I'm talking about customer experience, UI, UX right now. We're talking about coding right now. Part of something we do for example, TVS, a client of mine, the bikes, the panel in front is being coded as part of a digital marketing mandate, right? The entire user experience is being figured out. People who have relevant experience in coding are really required, because digital marketing, again, is not just the advertising function. It's not just the media function. There's a lot more that goes behind it. And these platforms, developing them for brands is becoming essential.
Thank you. Thank you for that, Preet. And it brings me to my last question. And I think it's a question that probably you guys have answered 100 times. And it's a question that we all keep asking. Is it better to work for an agency in early career, or should we target to work for a brand? And how are the two different? So probably we can start with agency and then move to brand. Akshay, would you like to start from an agency perspective?
Yeah,
and everybody's smiling. I see the whole panel smiling at this question.
Yeah, I've never worked at a brand side, so I don't know how that experience is though. But I would say, especially because when I began my journey in the agency side itself, I got to learn so many different things across so many different verticals. Of course, it depends on the kind of agency you join and the kind of culture that has been built in the agency. But if you're able to dabble with different kind of, because we know, right, when we're coming into our first job, usually you do not have a clear understanding as to where you want to build a specialization into. But I think the beauty of the agency is that you can get your hands dirty and dabble with different aspects of digital. I guess maybe a few years in is when you have made up your mind as to where you want to find your final calling, is where you can start moving to the brand side and then find a job in that role. But I think the agency allows you to also try different things and learn different aspects of digital. And I think that's when maybe the brand guys can talk a bit more about how then those skill sets add a lot more value when they come trained in all aspects of digital, and then they can sort of come and add that into the brands that they're working with. Yeah, that's what I personally feel. So yeah.
Okay, so I think we have agency 1 and brand 0 as of now. Sreya, do you want to add something to what in the early career should people prefer, agency or brand?
I think actually I would side with that. I think agency, and again, very personal perspective and view, but I really feel that with the increase in need for specialization, if you don't get your hands dirty early in your career, I think it'll do you no good in the later, essentially in the larger part or the larger scope of your career. I think being in an agency in the first few years is critical. The skill sets it teaches you really makes you stronger for the rest of the world, be it brands, publishers, any of it.
Thank you, Sneha. Shivali, do we have an opinion as to where do we start?
I would say brand. I've always worked on the brand side. I've never worked on the agency side rather. So I've always been a client. Being on this side, I would say I have equally grown. I have equally learned a lot. It depends how much exposure an individual is getting, how much hunger the individual is having in terms of learning and taking up more roles. I mean, I tell this story to all my team members, whoever new joining comes, that it is up to you that what all you want to do in the role. I give a complete freedom to the team that if they want to switch the role within the team also, within the marketing purview, I give that exposure. The one who is managing social media would be also be able to do some video making, would be also be able to do something on the mailer content for the internal communication. So that's something about the flexibility that the organization would be providing. And there is an immense growth. There is also flexibility to move from one role to the other role. So yes, my choice would be brand.
Thank you, Shivali. Would anybody else like to give their pick?
I would just
See, it's a
say,
personal choice.
sorry, Preet, go ahead.
No, yummy, please.
So what Shefali ended with is something that I would say happens very much within an agency as well. Like, you have some people who are into account management and suddenly they identify a different skill set while they're working with, a strat team or a media team or a, creative team. And they are like pushed and encouraged to kind of, go there, explore that. If they do like flourish, then, why not? You pursue that, you kind of have a different thing to, a space to grow within. And I guess if you're a person who would resonate with variety is the spice of life, then the agency life is for you. If you're someone who prefers just one thing, one dimension, one set way of thinking, and you perform better, because there are some people who just bring out their best when they are in the middle of very diverse mix of, I need to solve a problem for a brand that is probably into fashion, and at the same time crack a brief for someone who's into insurance, and in the meantime like work with something else. So if you enjoy that, if that brings out your best, then that's the space for you. If, like I said earlier, that one dimension thing works better, helps you perform better, then of course brand side is good as well.
Yes, Shekhar.
Let me confuse everybody.
Please do.
No. On a serious note, what I told earlier, that the founding years is about mastering your skills. Wherever you are able to get your hands dirty, work on platforms and master the skills and not stick to the theory, you should go for it. It is available in the agency. It is also available in the startup ecosystem, where you actually get your hands dirty really, really deep. It is also available in a lot of e-commerce platforms where you will be doing the grunt work, but you need to make sure that you're doing the work in the first foundation years. If you're not going to do that, you will be your career will be built on a very shaky structure. So make sure that happens. Honestly, it doesn't matter. Finally, just chase the hands-on experience.
Thank you, Shekhar. I think Preet, you were saying something.
I think Yamini already covered what I was trying to say. It's a personal choice, guys. I mean, it depends on who you are. Also, it's your 20s. It's your first job. Don't take it that seriously. Do the grunt work. But Shekhar is very right in that. But make your mistakes. Figure out what you want to do. If you want to go and become a photographer, be our guest and do it. But use this time to really figure out what you want to do and then specialize. And make sure you keep working hard towards it. Right? I mean, that's the load on it.
You know the worst attrition beyond Canada that's going to hit us all. It's going to be everybody wants to become the entrepreneur. They want to do their own startups. So there are a lot more things to do.
Point taken, Shekhar. Anybody else? Umair, would you like to add something?
It's really funny, but I know a lot of people, at the agency side who really aspire to move on to, the brand side. And having said that, I know a lot of people working like successful careers on the brand side who started off, at agencies. So, me being an agency guy, I obviously have a sort of a, soft corner towards working in agencies. I think the knowledge accumulation is immense. There's so much that you can do and learn. It's very fluid, right? You can work and change departments. There's no rigid structure. So I think if a person is trying, this is my personal opinion, if you're trying to start your career in digital, learning the ropes at the agency side and then progressively moving towards the brand side is an option that you could take.
Thank you for that. And I think that brings us to the end. And also, I think like Shekhar and Yamini and Preet mentioned that there is no clear winner, everyone. I think it all depends on what you decide is best for you. And of course, I think that everybody said that just keep working hard and probably you will then figure out what you'd like to do. So with that, we come to an end, and thank you everyone for joining today's session. Geo Institute is launching the postgraduate program in digital media and marketing communications. Information all about the program is available on our website that can be accessed at www.geoinstitute.edu.in. We're hosting an event on campus on Saturday from 11 to 1. So if you're interested to know more about the program, about the faculty that's coming to teach, what are the different, and probably a little bit more about the other program. And so please feel free to come. And I'd probably like to end today's session with a question that I am extremely curious about. As to Akshay, why did you choose to keep your organization's name Shebang?
Oh, it's a very personal question. No, but so it actually came from the thought that we wanted an integration of services sort of coming together. It's like a culmination, and that's what Shebang actually stands for. It comes from a 17th century phrase called the whole shebang. Now, shebang is not the best word to have, so we said let's call it the shebang. And shebang sort of came into being as a culmination of different services sort of coming together to provide a holistic solution to our clients' needs. That's how it came through, and even the fusion of the exclamation and the hashtag, which is also our logo, helps to close or complete the Unix code. So it's a part of the coding language as well. So that's how Shebang actually came into being. Yeah.
Oh, lovely. Thank you. And thank you, everyone, and take care.
Thank you so much, guys. Thank you.